All right, it is 4 o'clock, so I'm going to call the Executive Committee to order at 4 o'clock on Monday, December the 9th. First, we have roll call. We have all members present, none absent. Next up, we have the consent agenda, and this is 2A and B, approval of the minutes from November 11th, 2024, regular meeting, and recommended payment of bills and transfers to the county board as approved by the auditor that were in the packet. May I have a motion? Motion by Member Klein, second by Vice Chair Rogal. Comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Up next is item 3, appearance by members of the public. Have we had any requests?
We've had one request to speak tonight, and that is from Mr. Chad Burke, who I do not see present.
Okay. Moving on to departmental matters, this is item 4A1A. As we have 3 appointments that are going to be automatic based on positions that people have, I am going to ask that Vice Chair Rogal present these items as there is a potential conflict of interest with the Ethics Commission. So I'll leave that to Vice Chair Rogal.
Yeah, 4A1A appointments, new appointments for the White Star Drainage District, the Public Aid Committee, the McLean County Extension Board, Ethics Commission of McLean County, the McLean County Board of Health, and the Law and Justice Commission Mobile Team Unit Number 8 are all new appointments. The ones for Mr. Rude, Mr. Byrne, and myself, Member Byrne, sorry, and myself are all in our role on the board. So those are automatic appointments. So, and I so move.
Is there a second? Second by Member Abel. Comments or questions? Member Klein.
You mentioned there was a conflict of interest. Could you explain?
With the allegations, there may be, I may be presented in front of the Ethics Committee, and it would be inappropriate for me to vote on that. This is a pass-through appointment. It is based on the first Assistant State's Attorney, who serves as our civil, also automatically serves as the Ethics Officer.
Okay, so it wasn't one of the recommended appointments that had the conflict. I got it.
That is
Thank you.
correct,
Forgive me.
yes. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? As unanimous with 1 abstention. Next item is 4A1B. These are reappointments. We have 1 reappointment of Linda McLaughlin to the Public Aid Committee. Can I have a motion? Motion by Vice Chair Rogal, a second by Member Friedrich. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is also unanimous. Next up, we have item 4A1C, and that is Information Technologies. Item C1 is request approval to award RFP to Tyler Technologies, Inc. for Enterprise Resource Planning System. Do I have a motion? Member Abel, second by Member Byrne. Comments or questions? Would you like to speak on this?
Be happy to. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is in November of 2021, we were notified by our incumbent ERP provider that they would no longer be selling the product to new clients. And in software, that's the beginning of the end. We didn't want to be the last ones at the door to find new resources. So we began the investigation process, received 6 RFPs. 3 of those moved on to the finalist stage where we brought them in and did demos. And we had a tremendous amount of assistance from consulting firm Barry Dunn, which was approved by this board. And so we bring forward Tyler Technologies is our recommended. Let you know Tyler Technologies does own the product that we're replacing as well. New World Systems, they acquired New World Systems. And so that's kind of what they do. They acquire a lot of software companies and eventually get rid of the ones they don't want to keep selling. So we've negotiated that contract with the assistance of Barry Dunn and the Civil State's Attorney, and we bring it to you for approval.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions? Yes, Member Lehman.
Yeah, just a couple questions. So the first one, in looking at the comparables, it's pretty vast, the difference between Tyler Technology as well as the other two that we had the finals on. Are there any concerns that there might be things that are left behind or in going with Tyler Technologies? Was there anything that we're like, oh, it could be, but we went with the cheaper version?
So the way I would characterize that is, I may have mentioned later in the memo, I'm not sure, but the other two finalists both actually brought the same product to demonstrate, Workday. They were both system integrators. I will say that our group as a whole absolutely favored the Workday product functionality, but we didn't feel that that price difference was going to be sustainable. It does do things at a higher and different level. So in visual terms, if our current New World system is here, going to the new Tyler Technologies product is a light year jump for us in functionality and capabilities. Going to Workday would have been a second light year jump. I do believe Tyler Technologies will meet all of our needs. We've worked hard to make sure that they fulfilled all the modules and requirements that we put into the proposal. And we did quite a few clarifications on some of those items and the details. And so I feel confident that it'll be a good buy for the county.
Thank you. And may I proceed with another question? So my other question is, I was just curious. So it looks like there are a lot of details that go into implementing this, and it's a multi-year project. I love all of the detail that was shared with us on having a project manager and how everything comes together. How comfortable are we with how we're resourced to be able to accommodate that? And or are we looking at perhaps supporting some of the changeover with temps or anything like that? Are we feeling really good about being able to make it happen?
I will say that the resourcing was an issue that was expressed from each of the vendors that came in and demoed for us. We do have, as part of the approved budget for '25, some monies that help address that. So we will be attempting to bring out a retirement. So far, he's on board, a person who used to serve in our organization as a person who managed the financial system for us. So he's fully familiar. He actually did the last migration of the first New World system, which was on the AS400, to the one we're running today. So he's going to be coming in and giving us a hand. And then we have money to do an RFP for additional consulting hours. That one's not as specific. We're going to put that out for RFP. But we are getting some additional help that way. So I think we're going to be okay. So, yeah. It is a lot of work. Yeah, and we have a lot of projects that are a lot of work right now, but most of those are stationed across the street with the criminal justice system and don't heavily intersect with this project.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor of 4A1C1? Say aye. Sorry. Any opposed? All right, that's unanimous. Next item is 4A1C2, request approval of a contract with Cornerstone On Demand for learning and performance management system. Can I get a motion? Motion by Vice Chair Rogal, second by Member Abel. Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Oh, sorry. Any opposed? That is unanimous. Next item up is 4A1C3, request approval of a resolution waiving the formal bidding process and authorizing the purchase of Microsoft software from Dell Technology through enterprise agreement. Can I have a motion? Motion by Member Klein, second by Member Lehman. Comments or questions? I'll give you an extra second. Comments or questions about this item? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have item 4A1D, and that is the Behavioral Health Coordinating Council. D1 requests approval of a corrected contract with the Regional Office of Education, ROE number 17. Can I get a motion? Motion by member Abel, a second. By member Byrne. Comments or questions? I believe this was just a simple clarification, correct?
Yes, this was something that was submitted last month, and then when it was brought back to the other party for full execution, they pointed out that this was, there were details that were not included in the copy that was submitted to the board. So this is almost exactly the same contract, but the specific pieces about what the Regional Office of Education will be providing for the contract needed to be clarified.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, all in favor of 4A1D1, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Up next, we have item 3, which is Information Technologies Report. If anybody had questions for Mr. Nelson. Okay. Moving on, I will turn the floor to Finance Committee, Chair Val Lehman.
Thank you very much, Chair Johnston. The Finance Committee has 3 items to be presented for action this evening. Item number 4B1A is the request approval of the ordinance of the McLean County Board amending Chapter 50's Finances of the McLean County Code, and I so move.
Second from Mr. Friedrich. Any comments or questions? I feel like this is a policy that's been long overdue, and I think it was put into place because of certain grant requirements. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm glad to see this in place, and I'm hoping this will move everything along a little bit faster in our processes. So any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item 4B1A passes unanimously. I'll turn it back over to Chair Lehman.
Thank you, Chair Johnston. Item number 4B1B is the request approval of an ordinance by the McLean County Board amending Chapter 116, Purchasing and Contracting, Project Labor Agreements of the McLean County Code, and I so move.
Second from Member Klein. Comments, questions? Vice Chair Rogel.
I need to abstain from this vote because of my employment. Thank you.
Excellent. That is noted. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that passes unanimously with 1 abstention. And I'll turn the floor back to you, Chair Lehman.
Thank you yet again, Chair Johnston. Item number 4B1C is the request approval of an ordinance by the McLean County Board amending Chapter 116, Purchasing and Contracting, Local Preference Policy of the McLean County Code, and I so move.
Can I have a second? By Member Abel. Comments or questions? Yes, Member Klein.
Thank you, Chair Johnston. I have questions about this one. It was my general understanding that after the meeting a couple of days ago that maybe Mr. Rood was going to look into this and make comment about its legality. I don't really have in principle a problem with local purchasing preference, but I do have questions about how that might impact, you know, its sort of legality and also how it might impact different parts of the county. So I don't know if Mr. Rood has any comments or Ms. Taylor has any comments about impact.
Impact generally, when I did look at our ordinances and I didn't see anything that explicitly tends to conflict or prohibit. I think there was a question about impact as far as budget. It seems that it would, based on the plain language of the ordinance, an agreement to spend more with the goal of hiring local. So I guess that's the information I could give to you in the board's decision-making process and balancing those 2 interests.
Ms. Taylor, did you have, sorry, I put you on the spot here. But.
I concur with Mr. Rood.
So do we have we, may I proceed for a second question? Yes. Have we had any actual conversations with department heads about, you know, for instance, in the Highway Department and Transportation about how this might impact their purchasing, or have we not had the chance to do that yet?
So we typically do not communicate with all departments for policy decisions prior to the policy being enacted. So I have not had those conversations with all departments. I know that this, just for the edification of the committee as a whole, this request came forward to us from the Chamber of Commerce, who has been successful in having similar policies approved through the city and the town. And that's about all the information I have at this stage.
May I proceed? Well, I'd like to make a motion to table this. I've lost track of what number it is, and my screen went dark. A 4B1C, to table this pending some sort of contact with our department heads about the fiscal impact that might have on the county, if any. So I make that motion to table it until a date certain, our next meeting.
Do I have a second? Second by Member Byrne. Any more discussion before we vote on the motion to table? Yes. Member Byrne.
I can't speak specifically to the details, but I know the county has several policies in place that already achieve some of these goals, and I'd be very curious to see how this new policy crosses over with that and where those things, where efficiencies might be found. So I think it is definitely worth it to take another look at this. Thank you.
To table it for a month? To table to next executive committee? Okay. Any other comments or questions? All in favor to table? Any opposed? And that is unanimous to table to date certain, which would be next month in January for the executive committee. Okay. And back to Chair Lehman.
Thank you again, Chair Johnston. The Finance Committee has no other items for action. This evening, we do have 3 items that will be presented to the board on Thursday, and I'd be happy to answer any additional questions you may have.
Thank you, Chair Lehman. I'll move over to item 4A1C, or 4C. Yeah, 4C. And that is Chair Byrne.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. The Health Department, or Health Committee, has no items to be presented for action. We do, however, have 3 items to be presented to the board at our next meeting. If you have any questions about it, happy to answer.
Thank you, Chair Byrne. Thank you, Chair Byrne. Moving on to 4D, Justice Committee with Chair Jim Regel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Justice Committee brings 6 items for action tonight, and we'll have more for the full board, but I would seek leave to combine 4D, 1A, B, and C onto one, if that's appropriate.
I have no objection, but I do need to note I must abstain from 4D, 1C, as will Member Klein. So you may proceed.
All right. So 4D1A is request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the County of McLean and the Town of Normal for booking services. 4D1B is request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the County of McLean and the City of Bloomington for booking services. And 4D1C is request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the County of McLean and ISU for booking services. And I so move.
Can I have a second? Second by Member Lehman. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously with the 2 abstentions on 4D1C of Member Klein and Chair Johnston. And back to you, Chair Regel.
4D1D, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 0129, and I so move.
Can I have a second? Second by Member Klein. Comments or questions? All in favor of 4D1D, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And motion passes unanimously. Back to you.
Next up is 4D1E, request approval of emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2024 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the Circuit Court, and I so move.
Can I have a second? Second by Member Byrne. Comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item 4D1E is unanimous. Back to you, Chair Rogel.
Our last item for action is 4D1F, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2025 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for the Circuit Court, and I so move.
Can I have a second? Second by Member Byrne. Comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that is item 4D1F is unanimous. Back to you, Chair Rogel.
Now, that'll be it for our items for action, but we will have 15 items to be presented to the board on Thursday. And I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4E, and that is Property Committee with Chair Abel.
Thank you, Chair Johnston. The Property Committee brings one item for action to the Executive Committee tonight, 4E1A, request approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 205 fees, Article 11 miscellaneous code fees, Section 205-37, parks in the McLean County Code, and I so move.
Can I get a second? Second by Vice Chair Rogel. Comments or questions? All right, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 4E1A passes unanimously. Back to you, Chair Abel.
Thank you. We have no other items for action, but we do have 9 other items to be presented to the County Board on Thursday, and I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4F, that is Land Use and Development Committee, and I will turn this over to Chair Klein.
Thank you, Chair Johnston. The Land Use and Development Committee does not have any items to present for action this evening. We will have 2 items to present to the board on Thursday. These are escrow agreements for solar and wind energy projects. And I would simply say that although it doesn't look like we did anything, we had a record meeting and have sent forward a new zoning ordinance about battery energy storage systems to the Zoning Board of Appeals, which will find its way back to County Board at some point. But I'm happy to answer any questions about that or anything else from our agenda.
Thank you. Moving on, item 4G, Transportation Committee, also Chair Klein.
Thank you so much, Chair Johnson. Transportation Committee brings one item for action this evening, 4G1A. And without objection, I would like to combine 1, 2, and 3, I presume, because they are subpart that's okay. This is Route 66 Bike Trail, Section 23-00001-06-BT, Village of McLean to Funks Grove. Subsection 1, request approval of a local public agency joint funding agreement of federally funded construction. Subsection 2, request approval of appropriation resolution for local match. And subsection 3, request approval of intergovernmental agreement between IDOT and McLean County, and I so move.
Can I get a second? Second by Member Abel. Comments or questions? I think this is a very exciting movement on this project and the further extension of our trails. If there's no other comment, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 4G1A is unanimous.
Thank you so much, Chair Johnson. The Transportation Committee will bring 7 items to the board on Thursday, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Moving on to item 4H, and I will turn this over to Ms. Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Johnston. I have 12 items to be presented for action this evening. This might be a record for me. The first one is a 4H1A, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2024 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 163, which is the ARPA fund.
Can I get a motion? Motion by Member Lehman and a second by Vice Chair Rogel. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1A passes unanimously. Next item.
Thank you, Chair. 4H1B is request approval to award the nursing home project to O'Shea Builders and authorize County Board Chair to sign the accompanying contract. That's found on page 255.
Thank you. Can I get a motion? Motion by Member Lehman, second by Vice Chair Rogel. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? And item 4H1B passes unanimously. Next item.
Next is 4H1C, request approval of an ordinance by the McLean County Board amending Chapter 165, Animals in the McLean County Code.
Can I have a motion? Motion by Member Byrne and a second by Member Lehman. Comments or questions? This is a clarification as we do now have dogs on, Member Lehman, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair Johnson. It sounds like you were actually just getting ready to say it. I was just curious where particularly we currently have any facility dogs, and if we have ones that are actually owned and managed by county property.
So we currently have 2 animals that are not owned by the county.
Any other comments or questions? The questions did come up about this because there are some technicalities about who's responsible for vet, who's responsible for training. And this was a clarification because other communities also face these issues. And so we brought this forward to make sure that we have very clear guidelines on the animals and on costs. So, any other comments or questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Item 4H1C passes unanimously. Next item.
Next is 4H1D, request approval of a services agreement with Chestnut Health Systems.
Can I have a motion? Motion by Member Klein and a second by Member Byrne. Comments or questions?
This action item comes to you because it is being funded through the opioid funds.
Seeing no other questions, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1D passes unanimously. Next item.
Next item is 4H1E, request approval of a services agreement with Project Oz. It is similar to the last action item.
A motion by Member Klein. Is there a second? By Member Byrne. Any comments or questions? I just note that this is an item that I will abstain from, as I abstain from all Project Oz items that come before us. Any comments or questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1E is unanimous with 1 abstention. Next item.
Thank you, Chair. The next item is 4H1F, request approval of a proposal from DEM Services for asbestos abatement services at the McLean County Fairview Building.
Can I have a motion? By Member Lehman, second by Member Abel. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? And item 4H1F passes unanimously. Next item.
Next item is 4H1G, request approval of a proposal from Diamond Design and Construction for interior demolition and lead paint abatement at the McLean County Fairview Building.
Can I have a motion? Motion by Member Lehman, second by Member Abel. Comments or questions? All in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1G passes unanimously. Next item.
Next item is 4H1H, request approval of a change order for Fairview Building exterior renovation project.
Can I have a motion? Motion by Lehman, second by Abel. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1H passes unanimously. Next item.
Next item is 4H1I, request approval of a resolution establishing the county board meeting dates for calendar year 2025.
Can I have a motion? Motion by Member Abel, second by Member Klein. Comments or questions? We can all put this on our calendar. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1I passes unanimously. Next item.
Next item is 4H1J, request approval of an ordinance amending Chapter 108 regarding the travel policy.
May I have a motion? Motion by Vice Chair Rogal, second by Member Abel. Comments or questions? I believe this is a policy that hadn't been updated in over a decade.
Correct.
and had long-distance phone calls on there to be reimbursed. which is not
Yes, I
long
wasn't
enough.
going to point out our shame on that, but yes, it still had long-distance phone call charges. So it was in dire need of updating.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1J passes unanimously. Next item.
Thank you. Next item is 4H1K, request approval of a resolution approving sole source procurement for security improvements for the Law and Justice Center with the amount indicated there.
May I have a motion? Motion by Vice Chair Rogal, second by Member Klein. Comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1K passes unanimously. Last item.
Last item, thank you, Chair, is 4H1L, request approval of a resolution approving procurement for camera additions to the Law and Justice Center in the amount of $11,950.
May I have a motion? Motion by Vice Chair Rogal, second by Member Abel. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Item 4H1L is unanimous.
Thank you. I have no other items to be presented to the Executive Committee this evening.
Thank you. Next up is item 5, other business and communication. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our state's attorney. Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. The reason that I wanted to talk to you is I have gotten requests from multiple board members requesting that my office look into an investigation or initiate an investigation regarding the allegations that were outlined in Trevor Sierra's email that was dated, I believe, November 28th. My office has looked into the different entities that may be appropriate, determined that the most appropriate path forward would be for us to retain an outside attorney's office. There is precedent for doing that. We've done that in the past on not exact types of allegations, but similar allegations. We believe that that will yield the most information. When I have more information regarding that, I will let you know. That outside law firm has not yet been retained, so I'm not comfortable sharing the information on who it is exactly yet, because we are still in communication with them and negotiation on what that relationship will look like. But I wanted to let everybody know that we are moving forward and moving forward, taking steps towards initiating that investigation.
Thank you. Other business and communication, Member Klein?
I have a question for the state's attorney, if that's acceptable. Sorry, I hadn't moved on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, do these allegations still exist only in the form of an email, or has there been additional filings with the Ethics Commission or otherwise?
So the only allegation that are, no, not with the Ethics Commission, not with the county. The only complaint that I'm aware of, I received a copy of a complaint that allegedly was filed with the State Board of Elections. I cannot confirm whether or not it's actually been filed with the State Board of Elections.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other business or communication from the committee? We were invited, I do want to make sure note that we were all invited to the McLean County New Animal Control Building Christmas Luncheon. That is next Wednesday, December the 18th at noon. And they have asked, CORE has asked that we do, if we're going to come, RSVP by this Friday. So if you're intending to go, please let them know so that they can prepare. Is there any other business communication from the committee? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.